Welcome to the Media Mavens Show, a fantastic fusion of health, wealth, and wisdom that will ignite your passion for life. I'm Aldwyn Altuney, also known as the Media Queen from Australia.
And I'm Kerstin Linnartz from Germany. We are here to take you on a journey of inspiration to help you grow in life and business and unlock your true potential.
With a combined 70 years of media experience, we share stories, insights, and expert advice that will empower you in all areas of your life.
The Media Mavens Show is not just another show. It's a candid look for answers to the big questions in life and a movement towards a better, brighter future.
This show transcends borders. We're connecting people and cultures globally.
So whether you're watching us online or listening to our podcast, buckle up to be inspired, informed, and ready to conquer the world. And welcome. Here we are live with episode number 11 of the Media Mavens Show. It's always a pleasure to welcome you. It's always a pleasure to be here with my wonderful co-host, Aldwyn Altuney, all the way from Australia. And today we welcome a very special guest whom I've known for several years, Janine Mehner. Very, very welcome. Janine is a presenter. She's also a yoga teacher. She's been working as a presenter on stages in front of cameras for more than a decade in Europe, in Germany, and beyond. And when she's not on stage or in front of a camera, she's traveling as a digital nomad with her camper van that she bought and restored herself. It's crazy. She's always with her cat. She wrote a book about workation, traveling with a cat, going from stages in chic evening gowns to her hippie life in a camper van and on the beach. She's supporting business people. She also did a yoga teacher training with myself, by the way. And she's a beacon of a perfect work-life balance. And today she will share everything about the myth of the one business advice. So much looking forward to that hour. And thanks for joining us, Janine.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. So, all right, let's get started. I mean, you've got quite a vita. We've known each other for quite a year. Just before going live, we had a little chat about that. So many things have happened. So maybe quick take us through, how does a beautiful lady like you getting into moderation then eventually decide to buy a camper van, go all hippie, and how did you end up combining and blending all of those things as beautifully as you do nowadays?
Oh, thank you so much for this huge question. So I tried to wrap up my whole life in hopefully 3 minutes. So I danced my whole life, and I did. I studied dance, drama, and theater, and I quickly started to be a presenter and host, mostly in Germany, in front of a camera or at events, at summits and congresses. And I tried to keep my flexibility. That's why I started with yoga. And I also love to travel, like in Asia, also in Australia. I've been to WA, so lovely. And I visited Sydney. Actually, there in Australia, I did my first camper van trip, like traveling 5 weeks through Coral Bay and Shark Bay and Exmouth and Margaret River. Beautiful. And I really like that. And Kerstin, when we are not on stage, we have to do a lot of calls and briefings and things like that. And I thought, but I don't need to be in a home office or in an office. So I can travel during this time, and I could also do the preparation in a camper van. So this is how this idea popped up in my mind. And as you said, I have a cat. So I thought I have to take the cat. I want to take the cat. And if you want to travel with a cat, you have to train that. The best thing is to train it when they are little ones, so they are used to it. And this is what I did, because my parents live like 500 kilometers apart. So I took the cat whenever I traveled. So my cat did vacation at my parents. So I just tried it. Yeah. And then I bought the camper van and I took the cat. And the idea was, for example, when I live in Hamburg, so when I'm in Munich, which is in the south of Germany, I thought, yeah, but I could go to France or to Spain and have a really nice time there and do the preparation. And then, as we all remember, there was COVID. So I was in Spain at this time. And as I said, I'm a presenter on stage and for events. And of course, there were no events. So I made the decision to stay there, and a beautiful community developed at a campsite. And then I could host some live streams also out of the camper van. And I put all that together and wrote a book about it.
Amazing. So now listening to all of that, everything sounds very light and very easy, and you're so successful and you're radiating on stage and, enjoying the traveling and taking your cat along. It sounds like, oh my God, she's living a dream life. But of course, as we all know, success, there is no such thing as an overnight success. It takes years to become an overnight success. There's always just the tip of the iceberg. We all know this image, right? Here's the success. And below the surface of the ocean, there's dedication, there's hard work, there's discipline, all of those things. And very often when we hear those not so regular careers and these very shining and radiating careers, there has been one or several pivoting moments. Like, take us back to that moment. What made you decide to take that unusual route of getting a camper and also of walking the Camino? I remember very well this conversation we had back then. Take us back there.
Actually, I'd like to go a little bit more far in the past. Sorry for the awkward words. So actually, as I said, I studied dance, drama, and theater at a private school, and but after 2 years, they decided to just quit like 70% of our whole school, and I was one of those persons, and I had a bank credit and I had to pay all this amount of money. So I needed a solution. And this is why I started to work as a hostess and as a promoter. And then at an event, they said the presenter is sick. So now it's your turn. You have to go on stage. And this was my first presentation. So it was really a really hard time for me, but then the best could develop because I really love to be a presenter and being on stage. So I would say this was the first like turning point or pivot point, as you said. And then in 2019, my boyfriend at this time and we separated, and we've been together for 10 years. So actually we booked flights to South America. So we would like to go on vacation. And I thought, do I go to South America right now? Do we travel together? Or I was like, no, I cannot do this, but I had time. And actually I love to walk. So I also run a marathon and 3 half marathons. And I thought, okay, I just fly to Spain. I just have my backpack and I just walk like over 800 kilometers. I know I can do this, no matter how long it will take. So it was just this idea. And at the Camino, actually, I decided to do a yoga teacher training as well. And I did that with you, which was amazing. And it helped a lot at this time. And as I said, I always love to travel. And I thought like, okay, I'm single, so I can just have a camper van and I continue travel.
Yeah. And for everyone listening and watching who do not know what the Camino is, this is a very long, I think 800 kilometers, you said, right? A pilgrimage path that people actually walk to meditate, to heal whatever they need to heal, to find purpose, enlightenment. The most amazing stories happen on the Camino.
Yeah.
Many books have been written about it. And for many people who take that, it's not a risk, I want to say, but it's a brave decision to walk freaking 800 kilometers. And it's not a comfortable thing. It's not a holiday, right? This is something that you put yourself through, and it is life altering for everyone who does it. And what made you decide to take this uncomfortable route? And can you say there has been this one life altering moment that changed the rest of your life?
Yeah, actually, it did. Thank you for that. I have goosebumps right now when I think about it, because the Camino was one of the best things ever happened in my life. So I can recommend it to each and everyone. It don't need to be necessarily the Camino in Spain, which kind of starts at the border from France and goes all the way up through Spain. But we have also some Caminos in Germany, for example, or through whole Europe. So, wow, where can I start? Where I live, or where I was born and raised, in the former GDR, in the eastern part of Germany, we typically don't have like the church or things like that. So I was raised in not believing in God or anything. And I had the feeling like my whole life something was missing for me. And the Camino, the Pilgrim's Way, is more or less a way where a lot of people walk to do that for God, or like things like that. And I walk there, like just walking. And then at the beginning, you have a lot of thoughts, and a lot of people go there when they are sick, or they have cancer, or they separated, or they divorced. And at the beginning, you have so many thoughts, but then when you just walk, doing the same thing over and over again. So you wake up in the morning, you have your breakfast, you walk like 6, 8, 10 hours a day. You go to your albergue. You do your laundry, like you don't have so much things, so you have to wash it with your hands, right? And it brings you down so much. So at the end of the Camino, for me, I didn't have any thoughts. I was just in the present moment. And of course, I could think a lot about the separation, and I got this entry and this connection to God. Like for me, it's an energy, and it's nature, and it's Mother Earth. And for me, a mantra came up: trust the Camino, which means like just trust in life. And this journey continues and goes, like just this energy is supporting me at any time.
Beautiful. And would you say, now looking at your business, right? We will hear more about that in a bit. The hard work that is behind shining on stage, traveling Europe, presenting, interviewing high-ranking business people, and so you're even, if I'm allowed to say that, you're even holding a portfolio of real estate that you call your own. So there's shitloads of things this lady is juggling. And would you say that's something we hear from many successful entrepreneurs, that being thrown back to simplicity, to repeating simple things like walking, not having much. You hear that from people who had been in monasteries, even people who had been to prison and become successful entrepreneurs afterwards, that this reducing your mind, stripping away luxury, and really training your mind to the repetitive habits. Would you say this is something that paid into the account of being a successful businesswoman?
I think you can kind of adapt that. Yeah. Because, for example, normally you have this, as I said, these albergues, so where you stay a night. But sometimes they're overbooked and they are full. And then you are there at the end of the day and you think like, okay, what do I need to do now? And then they say like, the next albergue is like 5 kilometers away. So you think like, okay, I have to walk for 1 more hour, or things like that. So here and there at the end, there were, I think, one day where I walked 42 kilometers, and I think 2 days where I walked like 35 or something like that. And I was at this point where I thought, I'm exhausted. I cannot continue. And then I had to go further. And then you see like, okay, my body can do more and more and more. So when you think you cannot do anything anymore, then of course it's a lot of mindset work, right? So if you believe in yourself and you think I can do this, then yes, you can do it. You can prove it to other people. And of course, you can transform that and adapt that to business. Sure.
Absolutely.
I love this conversation, and welcome, Janine. It's great to have you here. Now, one of my clients, a lady called Claude Tronchon, she walked the Camino Trail and she wrote a book about it, and it's called Boots to Bliss. And there's actually a story of her online on thesenior.com.au. And I'm just looking at this story, and it says she's actually a French-born lady here in Brisbane in Australia, and she walked 2,200 kilometers on a pilgrimage from France to Spain along the Camino de Santiago, she calls it. And she started it on her 64th birthday on Easter Sunday in 2010. And she knew nothing about walking. And she started her walk at the age of 58 after her marriage of 34 years ended. Now, I find it very interesting that your relationship of 10 years ended and you went and did the Camino Trail. So I'm sure there's something in that, as you say, as a way to build that inner power. And this is where people would go and do Vipassana retreats, and they do these silence retreats, and which, you know, I have trouble staying silent for 15 minutes on the start of this show, but yet alone, you know, an hour or a day or even 3 days. But, you know, it is quite a discipline, and there's so much that comes to you through that silence. And so my big question is now, as you're talking about your cat that you took on the road, now I presume your cat did not walk the Camino Trail with you, right?
No.
It take a hell of a lot of training, right, to get your cat to walk it as well, right?
Actually, there are people, and they are like really traveling with their cats. Like they take them with a bicycle and go on a walk with them on a leash. But my cat is just chilling in the van.
Yeah. Or they put them in the backpacks, right? I've seen them in the movies in the backpacks.
Yes.
One of my favorite movies is A Street Cat Named Bob, about the guy in London. I don't know if you've seen that movie. It's about a homeless guy and a former heroin addict, and this cat comes and befriends him. And then he becomes really good friends with this cat, and the cat goes everywhere with him. And the cat, in fact, ends up saving his life. Beautiful film. If you haven't seen it, for those watching us live right now, A Street Cat Named Bob. Check it out. It is absolutely brilliant. And we do have Umit here. Umit Gudek, hello, on LinkedIn is joining us. We've got Marie Brannigan on Facebook joining us. We've got a whole lot of people on Instagram. We've got Robert Mull, Amber, Lanane, Kath Barker, Karen Clark. Good to see you. Solopreneur to entrepreneur. Hello, Shira, Belly Dancer, Tamara Marks. We've got Scotty D. We've got Jeff Seferino. Hello. And for those joining us, welcome on the live stream. If you have any questions for our amazing guest here, for any of us, pop them in the chat, or any comments as we're chatting today. Please pop them in there. And I can't wait to hear what your one big business thing is today, from the topic of today as well. We will get to this because it's really got my curiosity, this title, and why you came up with the title of the show today on Media Mavens Show, number 11, master number. Why you came up with the name of our show today for episode number 11. Where did this idea come from for number 11? Please let us know. The myth of the one business advice. What is this about?
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, I wrote my second book with a bunch of ladies, and it's called The Heart Messages. And we share things about being self-employed, or also about things in daily life. So what would you like to know earlier in life, and what would you share and give it as advice to other people? And for me, it's interesting because a lot of people ask me like, oh, you're self-employed for more than a decade, so do you have this one business advice for me? And this is a bit funny, I think. So yeah, there's no such thing like this one business advice. I think if I would need to rate, I would say like, believe in yourself and don't give up. And you need stamina, I would say. So if other people say, oh yeah, you cannot do this and that, don't listen to them. So if you want to do it, then do it. But it's also about consistency. So it's I think it's not good to just start something and then after a week, a month or whatsoever, you say like, oh, I'm not successful with that. Because at the beginning, I think life and the universe will test you and you have to continue. So I really love Dale Carnegie, and he has a quote which says something like, if you are successful or not, you will experience in 20 years of business. So I heard that when I started being self-employed, and this really motivated me. So of course, right now we live in a world of dynamicity, so a world which is changing very fastly in a rapid speed. But still, I think after, I don't know, maybe 5 years or something, you can say, okay, am I successful or not? And do I want to continue or do I want to quit because I don't like it, but not because other people say you will not be successful with that.
100%. 100%.
And what is success, right? What is success? That's a great question to ask. What is success? What does that mean to you? You know, is it just a financial thing, or is it where you can do what you want when you want? You can travel with your cat around the world, which I love that. And I love that you said with the cat, because you know I'm a massive cat lover. Of course, I've had rescue cats for years, and you know I had a cat here for 15 years at my house in Southport that I never took away from the house. So he stayed here for the whole 15 years, and I was always conscious that if I was to move him, that he would get very anxious, because I know that when we brought him to the house initially, he was very, anxious about being moved around, because they don't know where they're being taken if they're not used to it, right? So I love how you said, get them used to it, and then they're fine.
Yeah,
you can.
Yeah, you can get. They have to get used to it, and I have this GPS tracker for him. So it's really interesting because the dog goes out and just explores everything, and a cat goes out and comes back, for example, to the camper van or also to the house, and then goes away and comes back, goes away and comes back. So at the end, you see it looks like a star, actually. So a cat will come back to check, okay, is the door open and things like that, and then he goes and comes back.
Wow. And would you say, listening to you two cat mamas, and also I liked how Aldwyn was saying, what is success? Many people define success differently, and you were also mentioning the creation of a good work-life balance. And I like to, what good are millions if you die of a heart attack before you're 50, right? Or what good are millions in the bank if you don't have friends, if your family hates you, and you're miserable and greedy and just negative all the time. So would you say having your cat with you and having this strong counterbalance of going back to the simplicity and connectedness to nature of your camper van, is this something that you created to counterbalance the business aspect of being on stage and being a presenter?
Yeah, kind of. So whenever I enter the camper van, I have this feeling of holiday, even if I take the camper van to travel to the next project, to a client, or to the next job. But I always have this vacation mode. And I have my own kitchen and my own bed, which is like, my home. And having my cat with me was like, this little home, right? This friend, this co-pilot, and coming back to the van. It was so, like family.
And I think there's even proven, I mean, you two must know that better. I've had my cat last time when I was, I think, 6 years old. So that's a few decades away. But I think there's even proven scientific research about the health benefits of, for example, a purring cat on your chest, right? I think it's hard to be stressed out when you have a purring cat on your chest, isn't it?
And even a purring cat can repair bones, actually, when they are broken. Yes.
Wow.
This is proven as well.
Now everybody's got to get a cat.
Yeah.
How do they repair bones? I don't get that. How does that happen?
Because when you have them on your broken bone or something, I mean, first of all, you should go a bone. Yeah.
I thought you said boats. I thought they repair boats. I thought, how do they get in there and repair boats?
No, bones. Yeah, because of the vibration. No, sorry.
Yeah. Of course.
Right. Your English is much better than my German, I can assure you.
Oh, thank you.
I know Guten Tag, Morgan, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
and
can
I
see that
So
the vibration actually does something to your system. No, this is like
yeah.
all the other things that you do when you go on, when you do these massages, or whenever you create vibration in your system, and in several breathing exercises, when you do the humming. This is called Nada
Oh
Brahma
yeah.
in yogic tradition.
Mhm.
When you do the humming, this is the effect of actually creating the vibration in your
Mhm.
brain, in your hemispheres. On the one hand, it balances the left and right hemisphere of the brain, but it also balances the so-called liquor, which is the liquid that floats around the brain and through your spine, right? And when you put vibration on that, this has a massive positive impact on your nervous system. It balances your left and right brain hemispheres, and that's what you can create even without a purring cat on your chest.
Mhm.
And this is a beautiful exercise to counter stress, and it works immediately. Your nervous system reacts immediately. So that's something beautiful for all the listeners and viewers who are stressed out sometimes and you don't have a purring cat at hand. Do some Nada Brahma, Google that, and it will relieve immensely, immensely. So
Is it
let's
the
get.
same like the bee
Yes, it's
breathing?
the bee
Yeah.
humming. The bee
Yeah.
humming. It's also called the
Mhm.
bee humming,
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 exactly. It's beautiful and it's fun. It's fun. I want to get back to this one business advice,
Yeah.
because I find it difficult nowadays when you look at social media.
Mhm.
You see all those things, like uh, get rich overnight, or do
Mhm.
this one thing and you will be
Mhm.
successful. And people want it quick, they want it easy. It feels like nobody wants to put in the work anymore. And I love how you're saying this is a myth. It takes perseverance, it takes dedication and discipline, and also if those things are unsexy. But I just recently heard an amazing entrepreneur. His name is Alex Hormozy. Go look him up if you want to get bigger in business. He's just amazing. And he says you have to be ready to do the boring shit day in and day out
Mhm.
every single day if you want to make it to the top of the business entrepreneurs, right? And there's no such thing as the one thing, but actually there's many little things in combination that make a success. Could you name the many ones that combined together are propelling your success and are keeping you healthy and sane and grounded as you are, although you're so busy?
Thank you so much for this question. Yeah, actually, I experienced that as well, that people have this one business tip. You need to do this and that. And there's also a quote, everyone wants to be rich, but no one wants to become rich, right? So do the hard work. Um, so yeah, as you said, I think it's a lot of right decisions, or maybe there's nothing like right or wrong. It's also about doing mistakes, because there you learn a lot of things, right? But for example, it's what I already said is stamina and consistency. I think right now in an online business, you can get successful quicker than maybe doing an on-site business or things like that, but still it takes a little bit time. um, so don't give up. Constantly development. So there's no such thing like, oh, I'm ready right now, like uh, I'm finished. So read about it and talk about it. But also there are a lot of people, and they think, oh, I have to do the next workshop, and I need the next certificate, and they don't start. And then they think, okay, but first of all, I have to do my homepage, I have to do the online shop, I have to do this and that. Those are all good tools, but the thing is, start. A lot of people just talk, but
Yes,
start, right? Do the thing
yes,
and try out and do the failures as well. And also talk about it, or say other people what you want. For example, I mean, we kind of live, yeah, in this patriarchic system. Don't know if you know what I mean. So I recognize sometimes I'm the only woman on stage, or maybe sometimes not in the room, but kind of, right? But sometimes I also recognize that women are asked, do you want to be our speaker? Do you want to be on stage? And sometimes women are like, oh, no, I don't want to, or they don't talk about it, that they want to be on stage. So this is also a thing. And I think, of course, yeah, social media can help us. You can fake a lot of things, yeah, like fake it till you make it. But I think also you can share a lot of things, what you do. So it's the consistency of a lot of things.
Yeah, you're touching big points here. First of all, I think the fake it till you make it is not sustainable at all. Only,
No.
If you want your business to last, it has to be built on a proper fundament, and it has to be real, because otherwise it's going to crumble. No,
Mm-hmm,
I mean, when you look at all the fake careers, they don't last. It's like building a house out of sand, right? And there's actually numbers. I love what you're saying about this feeling everything has to be ready. It touches perfectionism, which is much stronger developed in women. It also touches the imposter syndrome, which is way stronger. I think it's 80 versus 20%, 20% in men. Men just go for it. They're way not as afraid of making mistakes as women. And women face the imposter syndrome much, much stronger. And this whole procrastination because they don't feel ready. And actually there's scientific studies why that is. And this actually comes from our upbringing, because, when a boy goes out, and I'm playing with stereotypes here, right? I'm aware, and I'm not saying this is for every boy and every woman. I'm playing with the stereotypes, but in general, a mother tells the boy, go out and play and learn to ride the bike. And if you fall down, it doesn't matter. And with the girls, they get told, be careful, sweetie. Don't hurt yourself. So from an early stage on, it gets instilled in the female brain to be more careful and to learn it first, and, to not be too brave. And of course, this takes some time to unlearn, right? But it can be done. Did you face any of that before starting the Camino, before buying your camper van, before entering those male-dominated industries that you sometimes host your events in? If you do so, how do you handle that?
Well, in the past, sometimes people said, oh, we cannot book you because we have a technical topic, so therefore we need a man. But this is like years ago. Then, to be honest, when there was COVID and they did a lot of live streams, actually, this was kind of good for my career in points of that a lot of companies said, we need a female presenter because we have just like this image, and our company and our CEOs or our C-level is just men. So of course we need a female presenter. So it can be, both sides, right? So whenever clients ask me, oh, do you know a photographer or a makeup artist or something like that, I always recommend women to do the female empowerment. And what else? What did you ask?
If have you ever found yourself in a situation where you found it a bit scary and your inner warning system was maybe telling you, wow, this is something new, and was there a slightest shred of doubt, and how did you manage to jump down the cliff?
Well, I mean, the doubt for business. Sometimes, I mean, when I didn't have money, there was a huge doubt. And I think like 2 or 3 times I had to borrow money from my ex-boyfriend. And then, sometimes I thought, is this the real thing? Or maybe do I something else? Do I study again, do business administration or things like that? But I always thought like, no, but I think it's it will bore me on the one hand side. And on the other hand side, I always had this feeling and this vision when I closed my eyes, when I went to bed. I always had the vision. I saw myself on stage. So I knew this is it. But yeah, there were things which you mentioned. I had this feeling it was hard. It was hard. I had to fight for it. Why does it take so long? And things like that. So it was kind of a fight, and I had to learn that it can be easy. And this is also, I would say, this is also maybe an advice which I would give. Now I try to see it more as a game, like the whole life, but also regarding business. Just play with it.
And sometimes you win and sometimes you lose in any game, no? Yeah, and don't make the loss if things go wrong. That's what I tell all of my clients as well. If you fail, if things go wrong, it's not necessarily a sign that you're not supposed to do that, but it's about getting back up again, fix the crown, learn from your mistake, and make it different the next time. Maybe make it a bit better, be a bit better the next time, and keep going. And I love another quote I heard from one of my mentors. He always said, "I failed my way forward." You know, he said, "I don't know how many times I fell down and got back up again." And that's what they mean when they say it takes years to be an overnight success, because people applaud the successful one who makes the millions and who's shining and has the big company and the big success. But the million times they failed, and those moments you were saying, I think every entrepreneur knows that the times back in the days when we were younger, unless you came from a wealthy family, of course. But I think so many entrepreneurs know that feeling of living in a tiny apartment, not knowing how to pay the rent next month, but still keeping your shit together and not, getting drunk or escaping into drugs or whatever it is, but keeping persistent and keeping on track until you reach the goal. And I think that's again a sum of many different things. You touch the believe in yourself, the persistence, the dedication, and the getting up and not being afraid to fail, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's also a nice quote, every no brings you closer to the next yes.
Yes.
I really love that.
Yeah. That's the no from the outside, no?
And the trick is really in this journey of life, the ups and downs of the roller coaster ride of life, I think, as we're, striving for success, whatever that looks like. And I always recommend look at all the different areas of your life. Look at relationships, look at family, look at adventures, look all the different areas and rate yourself out of 10 and do the wheel of life. Do the wheel of life and do the wheel of business as well. Look at your business. How do you rate yourself out of 10 as to how things are looking in all areas of your life? And the trick is, while we're doing this, is there's another great quote, and a lot of people spend their health to get their wealth, and then they spend their wealth to get their health back. And really, if you think about it, just literally yesterday I was talking to my dad. He's 86 years of age, and Dad was sharing with me. He said in our family, he said no one has lived over the age of 80. As in his parents, like no one's lived over 80. Dad's now 86, right? He's had 4 heart attacks, prostate cancer, diabetes, recently in hospital twice with pulmonary edema, with all sorts of heart issues. And Dad was like, we know if we live a few more years, we'll be lucky, and he was sharing about my uncle who died during COVID. And he said he was 86. He said he was my age when he died. And he was a lot unhealthier than I was. And, for someone at 86 who's facing potentially, he doesn't know how long he'll be here, yet he is also so grateful to make it to 86. And the fact is, a third of people die by 65. 1/3 of the population. And recently, like I've been quite sick in the last week. Like 4 days in bed gives you a lot of time to think about things, right? After 2 weeks of traveling in the Philippines, having a great time, living the highs of the highs, to then feel the lows of the lows. And this is all part of this journey, right? The highs of the highs, the lows of the lows. And it's in those really low moments that often they're the best times to sort of reset, to recalibrate, to relook at everything that's happening in your your life, and am I really on path to exactly where I want to be going, or are there some slight adjustments to be made on this path, this navigation to where I want to go? Or maybe I want to go this way now, maybe I want to completely shift things. But whatever it is, Dad was saying to me yesterday, he said, Aldwyn, the most important thing, he said to me, he said, is to be healthy and to be happy. It was the simplest thing. I thought, oh my gosh, to be healthy and to be happy. It's that simple,
Yeah.
How often do we overcomplicate life?
Mhm.
We get all significant about everything. There I was, feeling like death warmed up in bed for 4 days and feeling like like I just wanted to drop off the planet, And Dad says it's just about being healthy and happy, And I thought to myself, just get over yourself, Aldwyn, right? Just get over yourself, get up and keep going, because, there's going to be times we hate ourselves, or we hate how we look, or we hate what's going on in our lives in that moment. And there's going to be other times that we're absolutely loving life. And it's really about embracing all of it and being so grateful for the life we have, considering that a third of people die by 65. And considering how old are you now? What is your age right now? And how are you navigating on your course to life of where you want to be in your life? And this is where, 90% of people die with regret. 90% of people die with regret. What is it going to be for you where you are not one of those 90% of people, where you're actually in the 10%, which is going to take something when we're talking about being successful in life? I would say being successful is being in that 10% where you get to the end of your life, whenever that is, and we never know when that's going to be, but you're at that point where you say, yeah, you know what? I gave it everything. I gave it everything in my life. I did the best I could to contribute, to live my love, all those things. So I love, Janine, where you said that you saw yourself on stage, like you knew that's the thing for you. So I'm really curious about your journey of when did that happen for you, where you saw yourself on stage? Was it something from a very young age, or was it something that came a bit later in life? When dealing with a very male-dominated world, in the world of speaking, and it's great to see more female speakers getting out there. However, we know that, still there's a whole lot of inequality that happens in both. There's men that are very feminine, women that are very masculine, and it's all, can be very unbalanced, etc. However, coming back to your love of speaking and presenting, how hard has that journey been for you to maintain a presence on the stages of the world as the world has been changing?
Wow, thank you so much. First of all, for sharing all these things, also about your dad and your uncle and being happy and healthy. This is the simplicity of life. Thank you so much. The question, when did I see myself on stage? As you said, on a very early stage. So I started dancing when I was 3. And I did contests, I did jazz, I did hip hop, and I went to theater. And then in school, we in Germany, we have this thing when I think we are like 14 or 15, then someone from the government comes and they do this test, and you have to write your CV and then do the test. So what are your abilities and your skills, and what could be possible for you? What could you study and things like that? And I had to do this as well, because you have to do it. And I thought, like, but I know what I want to do, right? I mean, I was 14. I knew, okay, when I'm turning 18, I go to Hamburg and I go to musical school. So anyway, I did this test and I wrote, I'm like kind of an artist and things like that. And they said, like, you could be an like architect, or you could be on stage, but you could do the when you build the things in the theater, the requisites, I could do this. So I had the feeling like they don't want me to be on stage, or maybe kind of self-employed as well, because in Germany we also have a saying, you do a breadless art, like you cannot get money out of what you do, and then it's not good. But anyway, I had this I would say maybe sometimes I'm also stubborn. So I had this will, and I was just like, when someone says you cannot do it, then I'm like, okay, I will prove you, right? You will see me
Watch
on
me.
stage. Yeah, watch me. Here I am. So it's also this video on Instagram, right? The best advice someone ever gave me is, you cannot do this. And then my answer is, watch me. kind of yeah, it sounds so easy right now. So when I was at this time, sometimes I have this feeling like nothing's going on. I'm just like staying at the same part, stepping from one feet to another and waiting. But now, actually, when I look back, I'm like, yeah, but every job brought me to the next job or to the next person, because it's also about networking, right? And that people support each other. So when I look back, I see this path and I'm like, yeah, but yeah, it worked, like going up and down. And even with the downs, I learned so much from it, and it made me stronger. And sometimes the downs are the best things that could happen.
Yeah, there's always a learning in a down. And I love how Aldwyn was putting it. And I think this is something that could be the essence, because when you ask old people, and people who are wrapping up their life and summing up their life, no one is going to say, I'm glad I neglected my children to work more. I'm glad I didn't do that trip to build my company. I'm glad I got millions in the thing for last, right? They always say it's about being healthy and happy. And of course, nowadays in the modern world, unless you're happy to be a monk in a cave, which is quite cheap, you need certain means to pay for your travels, to pay for a nice house. It doesn't have to be a super mega villa, and you don't need 9 cars, but to be mobile and to maybe pay a private school for your child, because that's the best option, like in my case. You need certain financial means, and you don't want to have to worry about how to pay your rent, which again can lead to some, stress-related symptoms. But at the end of the day, it's about not sacrificing the lifetime you have only to a career just to accumulate material goods, because that's what's for sure going to bring regrets. Just like, not taking the risk and not jumping off the cliff for sure will bring regrets, because you will regret of not having to try. So it is a constant balance, like you were saying, both of you were saying, between the ups and downs, the left, the right, the decision, the trial and error, but keeping moving. I think that's the main thing, of keeping moving, trying it out. If you don't succeed, brush yourself up and try again and just keep moving. I think the only mistake we can make is to not move at all. And that for sure will come regrets, and that for sure will make you doomed to fail, right? And at the end of the day, I think this is what every old person underlines. The only thing they regret are the things they have not done. I hardly would say an old person, I've been with a few people on their way out. In German, it's called Sterbebegleitung. I don't know the English term for that. When you support somebody who's actually dying, right, in the last weeks or days. I've done it several times, and they loved sharing everything they've experienced, and they've loved sharing, making their mistakes. And it's beautiful when they can ask, when they can be given forgiveness. But not doing something and skipping thing is not leaving you to tell, it's not leaving you anything to talk about in the end. And I think that's something that can be regarded as a success, is a full and an abundant life. And an abundance not necessarily is only money and material goods, but it's experiences, it's connections, it's learning from mistakes. And this is where you grow outside your comfort zone, no? And getting back up. I mean, Aldwyn, you're the best example. This is the second time you're doing a show while either being ill or just, coming out of bed. And you brush yourself up, you're here, you're committed. And that's an example of being persistent and still doing it. And you always say at the end of the show, you felt better than, at the beginning of the show. And this is how life rewards you for getting up and keep going, and this is, I think, maybe this could be the one business advice if we still want to create one. Just keep moving, just keep going, and I think then you have a rich life to look back to. Not important how much money is on the account, if there's 1 million or 2 million or just nothing. I think that's a real rich life.
Life
Agreed.
rewards action, as they say. Yeah, I love that,
Yes.
Kerstin. That is brilliant.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious, Janine, as we're all speakers, we're all presenters here, and I'm sure there's people that would be watching here. There's a lot of our community that want to be speakers and, want to get themselves out there, but maybe they have a little bit of fear, or they don't trust themselves enough, or whatever. What sort of advice would you give to people about how to be a great presenter?
Well, start. So tell other people you want to do it. And there are a lot of workshops. Like, you can think about your topic. Where do you see yourself? Where do you want to place yourself? And then I love to work with storytelling, so that you have a nice entry, that you have a lot of tension. And it's also, for me, it's also about the respect for the audience, because it's their time and they are listening to you. So be prepared and do your things. And actually, I also speak the moderations, the presentations. I speak them here in my living room. And I think on, there could be people in the camera, or I'm on stage, so the room is full, like you do in theater. And then, for example, when you are excited, you can also do some breathing exercises. So there are a lot of things which you could do with your voice, and also with pauses to build up tension.
In Hollywood, they say when Aldwyn is going.
Okay.
I don't know if we still have her here. Okay,
Yes,
I think we can hear us both. We can only see Janine. Maybe this is the universe conspiring, because in Hollywood they say the magic happens in the pause. You see what just happened? We had Janine in widescreen, and we both were like. And this is, if you next time you watch a big Hollywood blockbuster, or even a good art house movie, the magic is in the pause. I love how you say that. And this is also for a conversation. Try that out next time you have an important conversation. When I got speech trained, my trainer was training me to exaggerate the pauses. This is what interrupts the mind of the listener. And they're like, oh my God, what's happening next? And the magic is actually in the pauses. And this is what you can do if you have an argument with somebody. So much what we're doing on stage, if you transport that into your private life, you can interrupt any argument. You can take the wind off the sails of somebody who's coming at you fully aggressive. If you just stop in the middle of a sentence. I really don't think your opinion right here is very, contributing to a positive outcome. And watch what happens. It's like
that's true.
It's amazing. Try that out. It's a magical tool. Pause.
Here's something.
The magic is in the pause.
The power of the pause when you're speaking, very, very powerful, as opposed to when you're on radio, where you do not want pauses because it's dead air and they think you're not on air. So that's a whole other art form again. And we do have something different for you today for our viewers of this show. We're going to add a picture to the stage, and Janine, you can hopefully let us know what this is all about. Here we go. What's this picture?
Thank you so much. Actually, it's German, and it says my workation, traveling with my camper van, cat, and costume or gown. And this is the book which I've written 2 years ago. 3 years ago. So when there was COVID, I said I had the camper van already. So because I have this nice dress, I used the camper van to travel to my clients, to my jobs. And I was in Munich, and I traveled all the way down to Spain with the camper van and with the kitty cat. And then I stayed there during the first lockdown. And I started writing this book. So I started, or a lot of times people ask me, well, how do you do it with the camper van? What do I need? Do I build it up on my own? And how do you do the workation? Because a lot of people think, the vehicle is standing outside and I can just jump in. But to be honest, it's a lot of preparation. Like I need to do the research. If there is a campsite in Germany, we don't have that much campsites like you in Australia, for example. So is there a campsite? Do I have internet? Because I work in the camper van as well and do my research. And then they have their opening hours, like normally until 6 p.m. So we are all used to go to a hotel and they are open 24 hours, but you don't have that when you go to a campsite. So, and then I have to do the research. How do I get to the location? Because sometimes the location is in the middle of Berlin or Munich and you don't want to go there with such a big car. So you have to do a lot of research to make sure that your camper van adventure with your vacation works out at the end. But if you do so, yeah, it's amazing. And I've wrote this book about it, and also about the time in Spain where the whole world got crazy. And this was the time when I decided to become a yoga teacher, and how to sit down on my yoga pillow and like trust in life. And I thought everything happens for a reason, and maybe we don't know why, but I think it helped us, each and every one of us, this time to get down and do life a little bit slower.
Absolutely. Two things I want to give as a service to our listeners. I always like to be hands-on and give them some service. I can imagine so many people get inspired, like I did, back then when you bought the camper van. I was like, I want one as well. For me, it's difficult having a child going to school, so I'm not as flexible traveling anymore. But just give us a few bullet points. What's the financial investment if you want to get a camper van? Can everyone get that? Do you need a truck driver's license? And so on and so forth. So throw that at us, at our viewers and listeners. How can they get one?
Well, in Germany, if you drive under 3.5 tons, you don't need a truck license. If the car is bigger or more heavy, then you need it. So actually, I don't have one. And the invest for me was I think it was 28,000 euro, and it was built up. But my camper van especially was a car for a post, for delivering post. So it's the second life of this vehicle. So it had around 150,000 kilometers already in the engine. So I think you can get cars from 5,000 euro, but then you have to build up everything, which will cost, I think, 15,000. And if you buy a VW, especially the California one, and you have a new one, then you pay 50,000, or you have this huge Dreamliner, which is a real bus. I think you can pay money for a little house.
Of course, I think there's never a limit to the top, right? You can get a helicopter landing space on your roof if you want to.
Yeah.
But I think, to have this little second home, and yours is so pretty from the inside. I remember when my daughter and we had a chance to hop in at this yoga festival that I was teaching at. And it's so pretty. She has all this beautiful little boho interior. It's like a cute little living room, very girly, very beautiful. So it's a whole universe, right? There's a website, there's forums, how to decorate those things from inside. And it actually is a little second home. It gives you so much freedom. So if our listeners are looking for something very special and maybe looking for this pivot point in their life and have lost their zest and their purpose a little bit, think about it. If you still don't have a child, that's what I told you back then when you were like, should I buy it? I was like, as long as you don't have a baby, go for it, baby, get it. And the other thing, you were mentioning yoga a few times, which of course I'm a big advocate for. And this is also something I absolutely want to recommend to everyone in the business, building a business, starting a business, facing challenges, whatever it is so helpful. It can get you grounded, and you always have it with you. You can do your breathing anytime on the desk, in a camper van. When you're ill in bed, it will always help you. You know, your mind is always with you, and it cannot be taken away from you from outer circumstances. So I think those things can be, you know, a little advice to go on the road for our listeners. Is there anything you would like to share as we slowly start to wrap up, that you would like to share for our listeners?
Thanks again, as you talked about yoga, because for me it's the same, like to have a good physical exercise, but also when I do the meditation, it's more like, yeah, we all have this daily lives and our struggles and problems, or sometimes or me personally, I overthink, and then I sit on the meditation pillow, and then it's like a little bit like, yeah, abstracting, or I'm coming more to me, and the problems are not so big anymore. Yeah, as you said, we can do it everywhere. This is the one thing. And a totally different topic, which I just want to drop, is take care of your finances. Especially, I would like to advise that to women, because a lot of women say, yeah, I have a nice husband and I'm not so into money and not so into finances, and I have the children. But this is a huge advice, because Kerstin, you mentioned that I have real estate, and it doesn't need to be real estate. It's just like, do something for your finances and be independent.
Yes. And that's actually something that I see in at least half of my female clients who are beyond their 40s, maybe entering their 50s, who may unfortunately have come out of a divorce, who might have taken care of the children for 20, 30 years. I even had clients who had supported their ex-husband in building a successful company without asking for payment for doing so. Taking care of the children, which is a full-time job in itself, you know, raising a child, which does not get paid, and, you know, supporting the company. And then, as cliche as it is, and I'm not bashing men here, it can happen the other way around, but too often it happens, you know, there is a divorce, maybe there's a younger woman involved, and then the woman is there with no career, no money to her bank. And if the ex-husband is not blessing her with grace and with goodwill, the problems start. I have guided women through exactly those disasters, and I love how you, as a young woman, are giving that advice. You know, I can't repeat that often enough as well to young women listening. When you're in your 20s or even earlier and you start to make your money, be wise. You know, be wise with your money. Get good advice. There's actually beautiful startup companies all over the world now. There's one in Germany called FinMarie. It's beautiful. They're supporting young women investing wisely, you know, multiplying their money and creating a sense of security, which again gives you peace of mind and gives you the freedom to choose what type of job you want to do, where do you want to travel, and also, do you want to stay in that relationship? You know, I even have female clients who are in a relationship because they think they cannot afford to divorce. And I've met women who stayed in abusive relationships because they were thinking they could not afford to leave the man, which is very sad, you know, which is not right. And that's, thank you for that advice. I think this can't be repeated often enough.
Yeah, it's a huge thing in Australia too. And in fact, a lot of the homeless people in Australia are women over 50 because of this exact same thing. You know, a lot of them end up divorcing and end up being on the streets. And of course, it can happen the other way. And guys have been out on the streets and left everything to their exes and children and whatever as well. So it can definitely go both ways. However, you know, whichever way it goes, you need to get empowered financially. You need to get educated, because the education system will not they will not teach you these things. The powers that be want you to rise to the middle. At least in Australia, it's all about rise to the middle. As soon as you become successful in any way financially in Australia, they just tax you to the hilt. And this is where
Yes,
a lot of
same in
people
Germany.
ridiculous, right? The land tax, the stamp duties, the capital gains taxes. If you stand to, and this is where structuring is important, and getting the right sort of financial advice, getting empowered with that. It's important to be proactive in that situation, because you never know when you could be out on the street, so to speak. You never know when circumstances may change, and get self-sufficient as much as possible as well. And get your little gardens going at home wherever you can. That's something else they're trying to stamp out, is the gardens at home. But that's a whole other story. That would be another topic altogether. However, definitely wherever you can, get empowered, and whether it's business, life, any which way. And we do need to wrap up the show. It's been an amazing conversation today, and I'm so grateful for Janine coming on as our amazing guest, and all the people who've joined us live. We've got Demson here as well. Demson Malalo, hello. He says, that's very nice. Very nice to see you, Demson. Good to see you there. And all our friends on Instagram. We've got Kerstin Linnartz joined us, Mal McLean. Thank you so much. For those who joined us live, let us know in the chat, what did you think of this show? Anything you'd like to add to any of the comments we've made here today? Let us know here in the comments. And as we wrap up today, Janine, do you have a favorite quote or motto that you would like to share with us before we share a link where people can connect with you?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Actually, my motto is trust the Camino, which came up on the Camino, of course, but it's just like this one step after another. And sometimes you don't see the horizon, or you don't see where to go, but just, continue. And at the end, sometimes you turn yourself and then you see okay, that's where it's good for. And trust the Camino is for me, trust in life, have faith, and kind of you are supported.
Beautiful. Love that.
And how can people connect with you, Janine? What's the best way?
You can connect with me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. There you will find just my name, Janine Mehner, and then we can connect, and you can also ask questions. I also have a travel blog, www.gypsylife.style, and there you can read some things about my travels. For example, with the camper van, of course. Last year, I've been to the eastern part of Europe, the whole eastern part, like Bulgaria, Romania, North Macedonia, Albania. I've written a lot of blogs, and in German and in English, so you can read them as well. And if you have any questions about that, sure, reach out.
Beautiful. Love that. And for those on the audio who are tuning in on the podcast, it's instagram.com/, the way we spell your name is Janine, is Janine. And is it Mehner? Is that how you say it? Mehner?
Yes.
Mehner. Beautiful. Mehner. Mehner. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Janine. And my beautiful co-host, of course, Kerstin, how can people connect with you?
It's best to go to my website, bebettercoaching.org/links. We have included all the links on that page. There's a link to my Facebook group, The Power of a Woman Collective, where we share daily super valuable content for all women in business, challenging overload, wanting to expand, to grow, to exchange experiences. And you find that link there. You find all the info to my coaching programs. So that's bebettercoaching.org/links.
Yeah, I really can recommend the yoga teacher training with Kerstin. Also the retreats, but also the yoga teacher training was so amazing.
Thank you. Glad it was amazing to work with you. Yeah.
That's awesome. And Be Better Coaching is with B-E. B-E Better, B-E-T-T-E-R, coaching, coaching.org/links. And do you have a quote you'd like to share with us today, Kerstin?
Yeah, I'm always going with the spontaneous download and having a conversation, a quote of one of my very favorite women ever, having been living on this planet, Audrey Hepburn. I'm a huge fan of hers. And there is a beautiful quote of hers, which is better when you see it in written. So imagine that in front of your eyes right now. Never say it's impossible. Change that to I'm possible. I love that.
Yes, that is awesome. I love that as well.
Wow,
Thank
yeah.
you, Kerstin. That was brilliant. And the quote I'm going to share today is, all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Courage, right? That's one of the
Yes.
business tips that I will give today. Have the courage and the confidence to put yourself out there consistently over time. Stay on that roller coaster ride of life and have an amazing time while you're doing it, through all the ups and downs of life. And for those who want to connect with me, go to a linktree/Aldwyn, linktr.ee/Aldwyn, spelled ALDWYN. In there, you'll see my calendar link. You'll see the link for the Global Good News Challenge, which is a free challenge every month where you can share gratitude and good news and lift your energy, lift the energy on the planet, which we so need right now. And also, you'll see a whole lot of free media resources to help you be seen, heard, and known, and make a bigger difference in the world. So hop along there. It's been another amazing episode here today. So excited. And we are going to be back with more episodes down the track. Maybe not next week, maybe not the week after, but we will be back. We are going to be recalibrating and got some exciting new things on the horizon. So any final words from either of you before we wrap up today?
I want to thank Janine, and I think we have successfully debusted the myth of the one business advice. I think we can sum it up. There's never the one thing. The whole life is a kaleidoscope of good decisions, of getting back up after mistakes, dare to make mistakes, just jump off the cliff and enjoy the flight. Thank you so much, Janine, for being our guest. And thanks, Aldwyn, for another hour. As you said, we're going in a little creative pause now. We're going to analyze. We're going to prepare and plan. We have something really cool in our brains that needs to come on paper and on schedule. So we'll do a few meetings. You will hear about it rather sooner than later. So thank everyone for listening, for watching, for being with us on this path of health, wealth, and wisdom. So much looking forward to seeing and hearing you next time. Sending you so much love and power and energy. And thanks again, Janine, for joining today.
Thanks to two of you for hosting and for inviting me.
Thank you so much. You guys rock, and you rock watching us. Let us know what you thought. Share the love. Give us lots of love here in the chat. Love to hear from you. Any questions as well, pop them in there, and have an extraordinary day or night wherever you are in the world. And as Gandhi says, be the change you wish to see in the world. We'll see you again next time here on the Media Mavens Show.